The purpose of this video is to go over the solutions of worksheet 27 for pre-AP and worksheet 31 for on-level math students. On the assignment, it was practice showing multiple representations for inequalities. The representations would be verbally with clue words or clue phrases that would connect you to the proper algebraic inequality symbol, and that would connect you to a number line representation. Number 4 was already completed in the Head Start video that you could have used to see an example of how the assignment worked, and we'll go back and look over the other ones. The notes that are for the different representations for inequalities are a great resource to use for the assignment until you get to the stage where you're beginning to memorize some of these consistent phrases that you're seeing. For number 1, you must be older than 13 to play in the basketball league. When I see older than, that is a clue for greater than. And I'll show x's that are greater than 13. These number lines have unshaded circles or open circles at the critical number, and then arrows going off to the right to show greater numbers. For problem number 2, there were less than 10 people in the line for the Ferris wheel. The clue words less than indicate the less than sign. This symbol would be represented with an open, unshaded circle at the critical number and then an arrow going off to the left to show numbers that are less. Number 3, it costs more than 6 tokens to ride the bumper cars. I'm going to use the greater than symbol because of the phrase more than. The graph would have an open circle at the value with an arrow going to the right to represent numbers that are more than 6. Number 5, you cannot drive faster than 20 miles per hour in a school zone. When I see cannot go faster than, that is kind of similar to these. Cannot be over or cannot exceed because you cannot be higher than 20. That symbol is the less than or equal to symbol. And for that symbol, the graphs have shaded, closed-in circles with arrows going to the left to represent less than. Number 6, to use one stamp, your letter must weigh under 3.5 ounces. When I see the phrase must be under, it's right here, and that would be connected to the less than sign. It cannot equal that number. It has to be less than 3.5. The graph has an open circle at the critical value, and the graph is going to the left. You must have 15 items or fewer to use the express checkout lane. That is kind of similar to these. Must be something or less, something or lower, under, fewer would be another synonym. That symbol would be less than or equal to, and those graphs have closed-in circles, and I would represent less than by going to the left. You must be 55 or older to order off the senior citizens menu. That phrase is kind of similar to these. Must be blah or greater, something or higher or over or older or above. And that symbol would have a graph that is a closed-in shaded circle and an arrow going to the right to represent greater than. On the activities from the different representations for inequalities, there were some Google Forms, there was this handout as well, and a little bit of additional practice. It's very important to understand that these symbols, when they are connected to the graph, there are two components to the graph. One component is how the arrow is pointing. If it's pointing to the right, numbers get greater on the right. If it's pointing to the left, numbers get lower or less on the left. One component would be the arrows. The second component is whether the point at 13, at 10, 6, 18, etc., if that point is shaded in, which is when you see the option of equality, or if it is unshaded, when it's simply greater than or equal to. Greater than or less than, excuse me. And that goes back to, yes, if the option could equal that number, it is shaded in. If it could not equal that number, it is unshaded. When you see a number score attached to your assignment, here's where it comes from. There are 8, 16, 24 check marks, which means that each box is 4 points apiece.